Hi everyone, thanks for tuning into my channel. I'm Kidest. This video is all about how manifesting is about calibration. Now, in other videos, I've talked about the levels of consciousness, David Hawkins' scale of consciousness that outlines the different levels of consciousness that you expand into as you go on your self-development or spiritual journey. And here's the thing, while all the tips, tools, and strategies in the deliberate creation or law of attraction space are useful in helping you refine your manifestation process, your deliberate creation process, they are secondary to the level of consciousness you have operating in your day-to-day experience. What determines how you flow, what determines how you experience your reality, what determines how you experience the effectiveness of your deliberate creation process or your law of attraction strategy is your level of consciousness. The higher your level of consciousness calibrates, the more ease and flow you experience, the more naturally you experience things like synchronicity and coincidence, or sort of receiving intuitive insights or intuitive guidance, or tuning into sort of the higher ordered flow of information, of intelligence from the universe, from sort of the core of your being, or the core of the universe. So the one thing that you have to focus on, the one thing that makes your not only your deliberate creation experience, but your life experience in general enjoyable, is expanding your consciousness, is evolving yourself into more resonant belief systems, more resonant definitions about who you are and what you're capable of, and what the universe is and the like. It's the engagement with your own consciousness in a way to develop it or expand it or move it into more expanded definitions, more expanded constructs, more resonant, coherent, beneficial patterns of belief that allow you to move into a more consistent experience of being at ease, being in flow, having inner peace, finding enjoyment and satisfaction in your day-to-day experience, and having that overall sense of connectedness to a greater field of being. So expanding your consciousness and having your practice be focused at evolving your own being in that regard naturally feeds into your ability to co-create the kinds of experience you want to have in your day-to-day experience. So what makes you a powerful co-creator is your level of consciousness. What makes you an effective co-creator, an effective manifester, an empowered, energized, really powerful co-creator with the universe is your level of consciousness. All the hacks that you can learn about, all the tips and tricks to, manifest what you want, these are secondary, because the tips, the tools, the strategies are secondary to your vibration. And your vibration, your frequency, your day-to-day broadcast or energetic broadcast is a function of your level of consciousness. So the thing to focus on, the thing to expend your energy on, the thing to put effort into is the development, expansion, and sort of flowering of your consciousness. Now, who you really are, the core of your being, is an expression, an extension of source energy, of the intelligence that formed the universe or the multiverse. That is your core essence. And the expansion of your consciousness is sort of the return to that center. It's sort of the evolution of your personality structure, the evolution of who you know yourself to be into that which you've always been, into that which you will always be. And, this might sound esoteric. This might sound, sort of more spiritual than practical, if you will, but it's not, because once you start doing the work of returning to that core essence, returning to express that which you've always been, the journey, the natural expansion of your consciousness, the natural emergence into these higher levels of consciousness unfolds. It's a repeatable journey. It's a journey that, many have gone on. It's a journey that many have to go on, because that is essentially what ensures that you have the quality of life that you want to have, that you have the quality of experiences that you want to have. So when you've, sort of emerged into these higher levels of consciousness, these higher calibrations of being, you won't have to work hard to direct your mind. You won't have to work hard to, sort of overcome egoic patterns or overcome the patterns of self-absorption, the patterns of, the inner critic or the busy mind, the monkey mind, and the like. The more you've done the work of expanding your consciousness, the more you gain the ability to self-regulate in a way that these sort of common occurrences of the other stages, the previous stages of consciousness, where, your ego's running the show, or you have lots of mental chatter that you're unable to experience the stillness within, all of those kind of dissolve, because all of those are the symptoms of a contracted consciousness. They're the symptoms of a consciousness that is sort of not able to fully emerge because of the personality structure and the beliefs that have formed that personality structure. So the work of evolving your consciousness, the work of investing your time and energy in developing yourself in a way that you're able to express from that core essence that you've always been, ultimately makes your life easier. It ultimately frees you from the constraints of limited thinking, the constraints of limited belief patterns, whether they're cultural or familial or otherwise. Manifesting is about calibration. It's about your level of consciousness. It's about where the perspective that you currently have habituated in your nervous system, in your outlook, in your sort of day-to-day experience, where that perspective is calibrating. If you are new to Hawkins' map of consciousness, I highly recommend that you review it, because it gives a really useful and detailed framework for the different levels of consciousness and the characteristics within them, and where you want to end up on that scale is above 200, is about courage and above. The higher you are in that calibration, the more expanded your worldview is, the more your ability to self-regulate is developed, and ultimately the more you kind of have a pervasive sense of all is wellness, which is what you want, which is the state out of which, co-creation and the manifestation experience flow more effortlessly, more synchronistically than in the levels of consciousness that don't calibrate as high. So if what you're after is, having a quality of life that is fulfilling and nourishing, and having a deliberate creation process that is effective, what you want to put your focus on is your level of consciousness, is your calibration.